Spain once got so rich, it went bankrupt 4 times in a row. Yeah, you heard that right. Drowning in silver, but broke as hell. Turns out, when money rains too hard, even kings forget how to swim. Picture the 1500s. Spain isn't on the map, it is the map. From Europe to the Americas to Asia, one crown struts like it owns sunrise. They called it the empire where the sun never sets. Adorable. The sun didn't set because the accountants couldn't sleep. Gold from Mexico, silver from Peru, and a royal inbox full of IOUs. They mistook treasure for wealth, like confusing a sugar rush with nutrition. Ever seen a lottery winner buy 3 cars and forget they don't have a garage? That, but with galleons. Ports groaned under bullion, markets foamed, prices shot up, and everyone clapped, right until bread cost a small poem. Money flooded in, cents flooded out. Imports soared because why build workshops when you can buy everyone else's? Congratulations, you're rich, on paper, while your neighbors quietly build banks, ships, and something Spain couldn't order off a catalog. Resilience. And the attitude? Chef's kiss. A kingdom so sure of its greatness it financed tomorrow with the silver of next Thursday. Storms, pirates, God's will. Creditors, also God's will apparently. Tell me, have you ever swiped a card, looked at the ceiling, and whispered, "Future me will figure it out"? Spain did, for a century. They didn't build a system, they built a spectacle. Fireworks first, foundations later. Guess which one ran out? All right, class, time for show and tell, or as I like to call it, how to bankrupt an empire in 3 easy steps. Spain's rise and fall wasn't a mystery, it was a masterclass in overconfidence, debt, and cosmic-level stupidity. Let's walk through the exhibits, shall we? Exhibit A, Potosí, the mountain that ate men. First stop Potosí, a mountain in modern-day Bolivia so full of silver that the Spanish thought God had left them a personal piggy bank. Spoiler, he didn't. They mined it for over a century, pulling out enough silver to pave a highway from the Andes to Madrid, or maybe straight to hell, depending on who you ask. Locals called it the mountain that eats men because, well, it did. Tens of thousands of indigenous and enslaved miners worked in poison-filled tunnels until their lungs turned into confetti. And for what? To fund cathedrals, palaces, and wars that ended in, you guessed it, bankruptcy. Spain basically traded human lives for shiny metal and called it divine destiny. If irony paid taxes, they'd still be rich today. Imagine a teenager discovering a trust fund and immediately buying NFTs and jet skis. That's Spain in the 1500s. They had infinite silver and 0 cents. Not one thought of building an economy, factories, or anything that lasted. Just bling, booze, and battles. The kind of prosperity you measure in fireworks and funerals. Exhibit B, the Spanish Armada. When flexing goes wrong. Next up, Exhibit B, the Spanish Armada, 1588. Spain decided to invade England because apparently silver wasn't enough. They wanted bragging rights too. King Philip II emptied his war chest to build a floating palace, 130 ships, cannons, banners, priests, even a few horses. Because why not? The fleet was so massive it made the Titanic look modest. They set sail, thunderous and holy, ready to smite the heretics. Then reality checked in. Storms, English fire ships, and good old-fashioned hubris shredded the Armada into wet confetti. Out of 130 ships, barely half limped home. The rest sank, burned, or exploded in cinematic slow motion. The cost? Millions of ducats, thousands of lives, and one bruised royal ego. Spain learned an ancient lesson. God helps those who don't pick naval fights during hurricane season. Meanwhile, England toasted the victory, printed victory songs, and quietly started plotting how to build an empire without going broke. Spain spent treasure, England learned strategy. Guess who got the better deal? Exhibit C, The Great Heist, Pete Hine and the Lost Treasure Fleet. And finally, Exhibit C, my personal favorite, the year 1628. Enter Pete Hine, a Dutch privateer with the audacity of a Hollywood villain and the luck of a cat with 9 credit cards. Spain had this genius idea: gather all the silver from the Americas into giant treasure fleets, sail them home, and call it a business plan. One little problem: everyone knew when those ships were coming. Pirates called it calendar season. Pete Hine spotted the fleet off Cuba, ambushed it, and yoinked 11 million guilders worth of silver. 11 million guilders! That's billions today. Spain's national budget went belly up overnight. Credit collapsed, investors screamed, and the king probably needed a hug and a new therapist. What did the Dutch do with their shiny loot? They didn't build gold toilets or diamond hats. They built banks. They built ships. They built systems. They took Spain's silver and turned it into capitalism. It's almost poetic. Spain mined the treasure, shipped it, and paid other countries to outsmart them with their own money. That's not just bad luck. That's economic comedy. The pattern of pain. Spain's empire was a one-trick pony, and the trick was self-destruction. Every time they struck gold, literally, they spent it faster than it arrived. Inflation soared, industries withered, and the crown borrowed against treasure that hadn't even been shipped yet. When a storm hit, a pirate struck, or a fleet sank, the entire system collapsed like a Jenga tower made of IOUs. And every time it happened, the same reaction: more loans, more wars, more prayers. It's like watching someone win the lottery every decade and still manage to lose the house. Spain wasn't just unlucky, it was allergic to common sense. By the end of the 1600s, the empire that once owned the world couldn't afford its own reputation. The silver was gone, the debts remained, and the nobles were still arguing over who got the nicer bankruptcy paperwork. If tragedy had a laugh track, it'd sound exactly like this. So what does all this ancient chaos have to do with us, the enlightened children of the digital age, scrolling through debt on rectangles made in countries we owe money to? Oh, everything, my friend. Absolutely everything. Spain's silver addiction was the 16th century version of printing money. Shovel more metal into the system and call it prosperity. Sound familiar? Today we call it quantitative easing. Same high, same hangover. Back then, galleons. Now, central banks. Different costumes, same magic trick. Make people believe wealth is multiplying while the real economy quietly starves in the corner. When Spain's silver poured in, prices exploded. When our governments print money, housing prices explode. Bread, rent, tuition, all up. The rich? They're fine. They got in early, just like the Spanish nobles, hoarding the silver. Everyone else gets crumbs, or these days, instant noodles and anxiety. And the spending habits? Oh, they've evolved, from cathedrals and armadas to influencers and defense budgets. Spain built ships it couldn't maintain. We build lifestyles we can't sustain. They had pirates with cannons. We've got algorithms stealing our time. Both end up broke, just in different currencies. The real tragedy? Spain could have built something lasting: schools, industries, systems. Instead, it bought bling and burned cash on holy wars. We too could invest in innovation, health, and actual brains. But nah, we'd rather mint NFTs shaped like monkeys. History isn't repeating, it's just refreshing the same dumb page. Inflation was Spain's silent killer. Ours just comes with better marketing, glossy reports, press conferences, and graphs that look like roller coasters. But the effect is the same. Ordinary folks working harder for less, while the elite sip imported wine and call it growth. Spain thought the world envied them. In reality, everyone else was just taking notes. England and the Dutch saw the warning signs. They built banks instead of castles, trade networks instead of treasure fleets. They turned stolen Spanish silver into systems that could print wealth forever. Spain clung to the past, and the past ate it alive. Tell me that doesn't sound like a few modern superpowers right now. So yeah, Spain's story isn't a history lesson. It's a mirror. A slightly cracked one, showing us that every empire eventually overdoses on its own success. We just replaced silver mines with server farms, conquistadors with CEOs, and called it progress. Cute, isn't it? Here's the punchline. The cosmic joke, the part where history pulls down its pants. Spain didn't fall because it was weak, it fell because it thought it was invincible. Nothing kills you faster than believing your own hype. They had silver mountains, armies of priests, and a god complex big enough to block sunlight. But every coin they touched turned to debt. They called it divine favor. The rest of the world called it delicious karma. Spain mistook money for meaning. The more silver poured in, the less anything else mattered. Innovation, productivity, basic math. Why build a system when you can buy another fleet? Why plan when you can pray? Spoiler, the prayers bounced. The Dutch and the English didn't just steal Spain's treasure, they stole its future. While Spain was busy flexing, they were busy building banks, trade routes, and institutions that actually made money while they slept. Spain slept too, of course, just through every opportunity it ever had. And when the crash came, it was biblical. Not one glorious collapse, just a slow-motion implosion stretched over decades, like watching a king drown in a bathtub of coins. You almost feel bad, almost. That's the tragedy of hubris. It doesn't explode, it decays, quietly, elegantly, with really good lighting. Spain's silver was supposed to buy immortality. Instead, it bought 4 bankruptcies and a century-long hangover. So here's your wake-up call. Every time a country floods itself with easy money, every time people chase quick wealth instead of building real value, they're basically reenacting Spain's empire, just with better Wi-Fi and worse attention spans. Spain's treasure fleets sank centuries ago, but the idea that money equals wisdom, oh, that ship's still sailing, straight toward the next iceberg. And so our glittering cautionary tale wraps up where all great tragedies do, in debt and denial. Spain, the empire that once owned half the planet, ended up pawning its crown jewels to pay the interest. They didn't lose their empire overnight, they spent it, one glorious bad decision at a time. You can almost picture the royal accountant standing knee-deep in IOUs, whispering, "It's fine, the next silver fleet will fix everything. Yeah, and the next crypto bull run will fix your student loans, right?" That's the thing about illusions. They age badly. Gold becomes rust, promises become inflation, and "we're still the greatest" turns into, "does anyone take pesos?" The Spanish thought they were chosen by God. Turns out, God diversified his portfolio. The real wealth was never the silver, never the ships, never the map painted red with Spanish flags. It was systems, the boring stuff, the unsexy grind, the ability to create value without digging a mountain until it screams. Spain didn't lose to pirates, it lost to patience. So, next time someone tells you money solves everything, remember, the richest empire in history got buried under its own treasure. The coins didn't save them. They just made the coffin heavier. And us? We're not so different. We chase shiny things, drown in credit, worship digits on a screen, and call it progress. Spain had silver ships. We've got server farms. Different metals, same mess. But hey, don't get too depressed. History isn't just tragedy, it's comedy that took too long to edit. The fall of Spain isn't the end of the story, it's just the blooper reel of human greed. So yeah, laugh a little, reflect a bit, and maybe, just maybe, unsubscribe from the cult of endless money. Because life's funniest truth? The more we fake being noble, the funnier it'll be when the bill arrives. Subscribe, share, whatever. Maybe you'll wake up rich in self-awareness, or at least broke with style.